Hello YouTube, today I'm gonna do an unpacking video of a shapeway box. Now I did cheat a little bit, I already opened it, had a quick browse inside, but well, I'm gonna go ahead and unpack the whole thing right now. This is not the first thing I ordered from Shapeways. It's a nice sturdy box by the way, nice logos, text different languages, share it, questions, etc, etc. But yeah, I made some new models after the first batch, which I've got lying to the side. I'll discuss some of it later. And let's get to it. So, open the box. As you can see inside, it's got some foil in there to keep everything protected, nice and easily. There's a list in here of individual items, so I got quite a list of it. And let's start unpacking these. So let's start with the beginning. Where is it? Right here is my little Stickman egg cup. This is the original one I made. It's quite sturdy, but I actually made a second one because I thought, well, these legs are separated, so I thought it's gonna break really quickly, really soon. However, I tried to make a mold out of it with some silicone, and by putting the old version in it, which I'll grab here in the other pile. This is the version I ordered first. It's actually the same one, with the difference that I've actually pulled and yanked this one in and out of a silicone mold, which I'm fairly surprised it did not break, because I put a huge amount of force on it and it came out quite well. So against what I thought, this little print is a lot sturdier and stronger than it looks. So I don't think I actually needed to make a second version, but I did anyway. And this is it. So just to make it stronger, I don't know, people might want to wash it, etc. Washing machine, not sure. So I made another version which is kind of identical, except for it has a support plate at the bottom, which means that the feet will not be able to move and flex like they are. Now it's not really an issue that they move and flex, they come back to their original position pretty good. I mean, if you look at these ones, they were all over the place once I got them out, and they've pretty much resettled into almost the original position, so that's pretty cool. However, this being a bit sturdier, it's not gonna have any flexing in it. So let's put these to the sides. By the way, eggs do fit in here nicely and everything, and I checked that out as well. I just do not have any eggs at the moment to actually show you, unfortunately. Now, something else. Let's start with this one. Oh goody. Looks nice. Now this is a character of mine called New Fella, which is not that new actually anymore. But yeah, I made a lot of poses with it, and I put it on my Shapeways stores as well. By the way, I'm gonna put a link down in the description to the Shapeways store where you can find all of this, just in case you want some. It's even got a little logo on the feet. Stands up pretty nice. So, New Fella in a Muay Thai gear. Muay Thai fighting shorts, those upper arm thingies, and gloves. And then there's one here as well. Now the thing is, here, let me get it out like this. Pose like this, you're supposed to have pretty much all your weight on your rear leg, so you're free to kick with your front leg whenever you want. Your arms are supposed to cover your face, etc. But this figure didn't actually, I wasn't able to pose the arms further, so I'm still quite pleased with how it turned out. It looks really, really nice. And I think it can actually, yeah, it can stand up. Wee! It's not the sturdiest, I mean, it might fall over, but still quite nice. That's two things out of the way. Now, what else have we got? Master Sword. It's a little bit of a geek thing actually, a bit old, and this is not very strong or sturdy. This is a mixture of The Legend of Zelda and Lord of the Rings. The Master Sword up till the handle, basically from a very old concept slash artwork from, I think it's Link to the Past or something. But I didn't like the handle on the original artwork, so I replaced it with a more Lord of the Rings, what's this sword called? Unduril or something? The one that Aragorn wields. So, yeah. It's not very strong. I'm probably gonna remove this from my shop because it's not really, or at least change the model, make it thicker, bigger or something, or make it more toony. And this knob is not doing a hell of a lot of good. Next item. Here we have an octopus, which is actually the newest model I have, and looks like I've got mail. Someone just dropped some mail in the box, so well, let's try to get it out in one piece. Come on. This octopus is, well, I've always wanted to do one because octopuses are rather cool, to be honest. Look at that, there's quite some nice detail on all the suction naps here. Suction cups. I wanted to do a cartoon octopus that's a bit in line with my other cartoon fish, or I should say sharks, because sharks are all I've got. I did make some other fish a long time ago, but these were on a computer that was stolen while I was traveling in, well, on a bus in Indonesia. So I was a bit, well, I was thinking to make one without a mouth, because it would be easier, less detailed, less trouble if you want to rig it, and you know, you can get the same amount of expressions and you can pretend it's talking anyway. But there were quite a few octopuses around, or octopi around already with without a mouth, I mean. So I figured I needed to make one with a mouth instead. It's a really quick rig I threw into pose him. I don't really like the rig. I'm not even sure I like the model as much because it's not completely flat on the floor. If I ever get time to update the rig, I'll make a new pose and make him look a little bit nicer, as in, well, all legs straight on the floor. It has enough detail in it that if I make a new rig, it has enough detail that I can actually make really nice, smooth animation. If any one of you have seen the animation Octopody, it should be able to, if I make a good rig, it should be able to perform like these things. But I'm really rusty with rigging, so I'm not sure if I'll get to that. Still nice. Not bad for a 5-minute rig. Then, next up, Toon Hammerhead Shark. Rawr. I like sharks. I like diving with sharks. I haven't seen a real hammerhead, unfortunately. I've seen a bunch of other ones, but they're common ones like black tip sharks, black tip reef sharks, white tip reef sharks, silver tip shark, what else? Grey reef shark, whale sharks. I've seen whale sharks, that was cool, Australia. But anyway, Toon Hammerhead Shark. Not sure you can tell from the print, but it's actually got eye sockets here in the front, which come across okay, just not as good as in the 3D model, which is not that weird because it's crazy small detail. The teeth do come out really nice though. It's got a really big toon smile. Think Bruce of Finding Nemo. Hello. Then staying with the sharks, and now I'm actually gonna get another little model. Now that shark, this one, was the very first model I actually made that got 3D printed. This is done on a very old, what was it? Rep, I think. MakerBot. This was made on a very old MakerBot in a store on the island of St. Martin. And it came really well actually. It was just the detail on the fins was so thin that it didn't look very nice. However, it got the printer hollowed it out inside, which meant, and being a diver and everything, I made a necklace out of this, and those fins broke off during transportation, airplane, etc., etc. But this thing floats. Basically, it's hollow inside, it's closed up. Originally the mouth was open, but the printer could handle it, so it kind of sealed everything in. Water does not leak inside. You can dive with this and it'll just be upside down all the while you're diving or swimming or whatever. But this is the first 3D print I've ever made. That same print, the original one, in shapeways turned out to be like this. So a lot nicer than the old MakerBot. And while these tail fins and the pectoral fins are actually quite strong, a lot stronger than you'd expect, I tried to cast these in silicone as well, or rather just cast them. And of all the copies I made, the fins tend to break off. So I made a new version of it, which is right here. I sound a bit raspy, that's because I'm having a fever at the moment actually. So this is the new version. I simplified it. If you look at it, the tail section is a bit different. I made it a bit smoother. I upped this, pulled it down, pulled it backwards a little bit. I took off the pectoral fins and I made the tail fin a lot thicker. Don't know if you can see. I hope you can. So tail fin is thicker, small pectoral fins are removed, and just tweak the shape of basically the tail end a little bit. You can use this as a hanger as well. That's what I made it for anyway. I made the little hole for the ring to go through. I put it down a little bit so it's a little bit sturdier. Not that this is weak. This is actually a lot like the little egg cup here. This piece is actually a lot stronger than it looks. However, why risk it? You can put it through a lot of abuse this way. So this is the original one. This is a tweaked version. They're both on my Shapeways store. So yeah, I'm gonna try casting this one at some point and see how that goes. So that's one shark. Now what I have left is just these things here. Basically they're all the same item, just different varieties of it. Now, a long time ago I did a little bit of Wing Chun. I still love it actually. I think it's a great martial art, or fighting art, whatever you want to call it. And I really like the principle of the wooden dummy, Mukyannyong. Basically this thing represents a human being. This thing here would be the leg, the front leg, and these 3 things would be arms. And you could do your forms around it, and it's really cool. What you see in some shitty martial art movies is that, or cartoons, is that whenever someone trains against these things, they go about and break the arms, and that's just complete bullshit. That's not what these things are for at all. They're more or less to train sensitivity and correct form and everything. They give resistance because it's loosely molded. There's like one solid log, holes in it, and the actual space that you got left gives a little bit of the smoothness in it. There's other versions as well. Hell, there's as many versions as there are people training it, I think. But this is kind of like a bit of default. Well, I mean the default one stands or hangs, and I made this one on 3 poles, so just for fun. This is actually really a default version. One of my old teachers has something that looks really like this, very much like this. So the idea is, if this was a real life version, it'd be on the floor here, and to make sure it doesn't move or shift around, you would put weights in here, like 50, 60 kilos, I'm not sure. So yeah, same thing, the leg, 3 arms, and you could do the wooden dummy forms against it. Now, because this was gonna be a small printed item, I made an alternative version of this one, where you could hold pens and pencils in it. So same thing, but this is more of a desk toy. And this is one thing where they actually came out a lot smaller than I intended for it to be. I don't want them twice as big, but I do want them 1.5 times as big as they are now. I'm thinking that would work a lot better. Heck, maybe even twice as big. That's another reason it's nice to just print it out yourself first and see, you know. Just so you know what the size is. You can guess it in the computer, but then you get it in real life and it's very different, so. I might make a bigger version of this. And then this is the last thing, which is kind of like the shark thing. Ta-da-da-da. This one is made as a keychain thing, so you can put it around your neck or on your keychain, whatever. And so these are all the new models. Excuse me. So that's so far. Excuse me. So much for my first unpacking video. I'm just gonna quickly go over the old ones that I have. This is from the first batch I ordered. After I made the original shark, this one, I wanted another one, so I made something cartoony. Was cooler than sharks. Sharks were friggin' lasers. So I like hammerheads, made a hammerhead version of it. The original shark, obviously. And a whole other bunch of Stickman and my fellas right here. Come here. I have a few of these Stickmans with poses. Now when I tried to print them out with shapeways, I did everything of it. I ordered everything with printed anyway, with the printed anyway option, because they did give some warning about wall thickness when I originally ordered them, which turned out to be fine. I mean, they're pretty strong. They get back to the original shape fairly well. So we have this one. We have the egg cup that's really good, and this is actually the only thing Stickman with two swords that actually broke. And it's not so much because it is really weak. I mean, obviously the head was here and it was the weakest link, but it's because I put it through a lot of abuse. I got a kit over there which has silicone in it, and I tried to make a single mold out of this. And I tried to get it out of the mold, like when the silicone had hardened out. I tried to get it out really carefully, and I made a lot of cut lines with an X-Acto knife, even around the head. Well, kind of. And like the egg cup, I pulled very hard, and I was surprised the legs and the arms didn't break. But at some point I got frustrated and I just wanted to get the damn thing out, and I pulled a bit too hard and the head came off. That's the only thing. Now for the swords, when this thing first arrived, you see how thin the swords really are? And it's even still got a little patch of silicone stuck to it. When this thing arrived, the swords were kind of flattened out like this. Really flattened out. So I was a bit disappointed because, well, you know, swords are supposed to be straight. These kind of swords anyway. But within a day, maybe two or something, the swords automatically straightened out on their own. And this little bent thing here is also part of being this crazy into the silicone and pulling and pushing and everything. It came out really well. So if you're not planning to do crazy stuff with this, it's not gonna break. So I'm actually really happy with how these things turned out. Another standard pose, I made a mold of this as well. They came out really nice. Let me put this down, get a little bit more light here. A bit of a surprised pose, being surprised. They stand pretty nice as well. Just another little weird pose. No, don't do that, please. Whatever. I made a mold of this one as well. I made quite a few molds of the original prints actually, because that was my idea. However, I found out that if you cast them, the casts are actually a lot weaker than the original molds are. Than the original prints, sorry. The prints are very strong, which I did not expect. They're really strong. But the casts I made of it, I still have a lot of experimentation to do. Now, this is little fella, or new fella, sorry. Playing video games of some sort. Came out really nice as well. then this is something which I'm gonna improve as well. It's supposed to be a hanger of some sort. I may scrap this design entirely. It's very strong, you can probably hold a lot of weight into it, but it's kinda tricky to attach it to something. So what I think I'll do instead is just put a little board here, where you put a screw above his head, and maybe one between the legs, but maybe just move the entire plate up, where you have 2 screws here on the side, and just have the legs kind of for show push against something, not sure yet. Very strong, but I still need to tweak this. And this is the only one I'm not really happy about, and I'll show you in a minute. I like the shape and I like what it looks like, but there is an issue with it, and let's see if you can see it if I put it down. I'm not really sure if the camera is actually pointing at it. Dunk. The head is so heavy that it falls flat on its face. So yeah, this is everything I ordered from Shapeways so far. Really happy with how these things turn out. Quite strong, quite sturdy, and it's really nice for experimenting and I can't think of the word right now. Iteration cycle, because well, I would not have made this second version of the egg cup if it hadn't been for the first version, and the first version is still pretty fine actually. It's not gonna do anything fancy. I wouldn't have changed the shark hanger around if it weren't for the breakage of the molds that I made of this one. And I also know that I'll have to make these a little bit bigger, as in, yeah, maybe even twice as big, I'm not sure. So yeah, there you go guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and go give Shapeways a go. It's well, they make good products. Bye bye.